Thank you for coming. It's good to see you here. I don't know if any of you came last year when I was mainly talking about James Bond. This year I will talk about James Bond later, but I want to start off by talking about my new book, The Enemy, which, as you can probably tell in the trailer, is a horror book. I set out to try and scare children. So if you like scary things, you should like it. Now, in 1815, Mount Tambora in Indonesia erupted. It was a huge volcano and it blew its top. And if it hadn't erupted, I would not be standing here today talking to you. If Mount Tambora had not erupted, Stephanie Meyer's Twilight books wouldn't be sat at the top of the bestseller charts, 4 of them, sat there permanently. If Mount Tambora had not erupted, Dan Shan would never have written his Vampire Chronicles or his Demon Artist series, and George Romero wouldn't have made the classic zombie film Night of the Living Dead in 1968. And zombies would not be everywhere. That film, Night of the Living Dead, was the father of the modern cannibal zombie horror films. And zombies are now everywhere. They're in films and books, on TV, comics, in computer games. But you're probably wondering, did Mount Tambora somehow set off the plague of zombies? In a way, it did. Because what happened was, Mount Tambora, the eruption of Mount Tambora, is the biggest volcanic eruption in recorded history. It's largely forgotten now. It was 4 times more powerful than the famous Krakatoa. And when it went off, it spewed up billions of tons of smoke and dust and volcanic ash into the atmosphere. And all this stuff went up there, this terrible black cloud, and it was blown on the wind and spread by the weather patterns until it covered half the world with this like black blanket which blotted out the sun. And the following year, 1916, was known as the year without a summer, and it caused huge problems in America and Northern Europe because it was permanently dark and grey and drizzly, and there were thunderstorms, and it was very much like the summer we just had. But as a result of these terrible conditions, the crops failed in Europe, and as a result of that, a lot of the farmyard animals, the livestock, died off. As a result of that, there was a terrible famine. So one way or another, because of this explosion, hundreds of thousands of people died, and there were these terrible, terrible weather conditions, non-stop thunder and lightning and darkness. It was perfect horror film weather. And also, a terrible time to book yourself a holiday in a villa on the shores of Lake Geneva, which is what the most famous living poet, English living poet at the time, did, and he was called Lord Byron. Now, for those of you who don't know who Byron is or was, he was an aristocrat, a very wealthy man, and he was like a rock star of his day. He was very good looking in kind of dark, devilish way. He was famous for having lots of affairs with women, and for having wild parties and for drinking too much. If they had had Heat magazine and OK magazine, Lord Byron would be on the cover just about every week. And he had booked himself this villa on the shores of Lake Geneva, and he invited some young friends to stay with him. And amongst those friends was another poet, a man called Shelley. He wasn't famous at the time, but he later on became one of our most popular poets. And he had brought his girlfriend with him, who was the 18-year-old Mary Godwin. And there were a couple of other people, including Byron's personal physician, his own doctor, called Dr. Polidori, which is a great horror film. And they proceeded to have wild parties. Again, if there had been paparazzi around, they would have been on a boat somewhere with their long lenses, trying to snap pictures of the mad goings-on, a bit like Katie Price Jordan on one of her holidays. They'd been trying to catch pictures of them sunbathing topless and that sort of thing. But of course there was no topless sunbathing going on, there was no sunbathing of any kind going on, because this was a year without a summer, and it was raining non-stop. young people have always done. They sat around the fire, stayed up too late, drank quite a lot, and told each other scary stories. Now, they started off by reading books in the house. There were some ghost stories there which they read to each other. But then they said, let's try and make up our own stories. Let's try and see if we can come up with the scariest story. Shelley came up with some ghost stories. Byron, Lord Byron, because he scandalised everyone in England, and all the snooty types in England didn't like him, he did a lot of travelling around Europe, and he had travelled a lot in Eastern Europe and through the Balkans, which is the mysterious mountainous area north of Greece, with countries which are now Serbia, Croatia, and Romania. And travelling in these areas, he had heard a lot of vampire stories. The local folk myths involved a lot of vampires. So that night, in Switzerland, Lord Byron started